Super Mario RPG is one of those mythical Super Nintendo games that I've always heard so much praise for, but I've never actually gone through and beat myself. When I was a kid, I had Paper Mario, and I loved that game. I remember I had the N64 hooked up in the basement at my dad's house, and I just slammed through that thing like 2 weekends. I always loved video games, but it was extremely rare for me to ever play one all the way to the end credits. Most games back then were just too hard for me, so I was usually replaying the first couple levels over and over again. So when I got Pokemon Yellow and Paper Mario, it was insane to me that I could actually progress through the entire game. Paper Mario especially. I couldn't believe how much stuff there was in that game. That was by far the most complete and expansive game I had ever played. Playing Super Mario RPG all these years later, I am impressed at how much stuff they were able to fit into a game that is only half as long. The thing about RPGs, especially one from this generation, is that they demand an absurd level of commitment to see them through to the end, which is why when I beat one that I don't like, it seems like the worst game ever made. Even with ones I do like, I'm just daunted at how long they are. I still haven't beat Persona 5. I've been playing that game for 7 years now, and then they put out a new, longer version of the game. Just this year, there was Baldur's Gate 300-hour game, Final Fantasy 60-hour game, Starfield 70 hours, WoW long, 35 hours long, Lies of P, Diablo 4, Octopath 2, Sea of Stars, Fire Emblem, Persona 5 Tactica, Star Ocean, 2 Yakuza's, Trails into Reverie, Mega Man Battle Collection, Hogwarts Legacy, Tears of the Kingdom, 114-hour game, Front Mission, First Remake, Dragon Quest Treasures, Dragon Quest Monsters, Jagged Alliance 3, Wrestle Quest, Final Fantasy 7, Ever Crisis, The Sky of 7, Lords of the Fallen, Rise 9, Advance War, Digimon, Dragon Ball, Monkey Ball. There is not enough time in life to play just the RPGs from this year. You kind of just have to pick one and hope that you pick the right one for the next 5 years. I beat this game in 12 hours, which is insane for an RPG. They were rolling the end credits on this before you even get to the good part of Starfield. Because it's such a short game, the pacing is just bang, 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 just a constant barrage of new characters, new songs, new enemies, new boss fights. They could have easily padded this out to be twice as long, but nope. Even though many of the songs are much shorter, this game has just as many tracks as Final Fantasy 6. They got bang,
another photographer is always
There's a lot of peculiarities that come with being the first and only Mario RPG developed by Square. There are a ton of new faces and bizarre characters you would never expect to see in a Mario game. Gino and Mallow are great companion characters, but even beyond them, characters like Boshi. How come we never see Boshi in Mario Party? Big Yoshi, he comes from this game. But I couldn't actually find him. That was devastating. Booster is great. I can't believe we never saw him again. Karabaskus, man, come on, Nintendo. Why can I not saw like Karabaskus in Mario Golf? What are you people doing over there? Chained Kong, it's like, okay, obviously they can't bring him back after what he's done, but what about those other guys? There was Dodo, there was Frogog, there was Hippopo, the Jawfuls, there was a guy called Johnny the Shark who always had to say everything like a shark. There's a guy called Knife Guy. You fight a booby lady with a bird on her head and a giant sword. Then there's Turbo Trooper. I love this guy because he looks like my baby. The turn-based combat is excellent in this game. I really enjoyed how much trickier it is to get the timing and attacks and blocks down in this one than Paper Mario. You're encountering new enemies faster, attacks and defense require more precise timing, and every weapon you equip has its own attack timing. It makes combat feel more alive, like the timing is just a bonus thing instead of something you consistently rely on. And I like how you don't have to waste turns to swap out dead party members. It's nice to have a team that backs you up when you need them instead of languishing in the limbo. And look at this, I love this. I just did like 30 minutes of battling and 5 seconds of gameplay. Give me the XP. The visuals are phenomenal. I mean, look at this. Are you looking at that? Are you looking at what I'm looking at? Come on now. And they throw in some nice cutscenes. The original has such a distinct style, and somehow they held on to the soul of that look while modernizing it a lot. In terms of storytelling, what do you want me to say? I mean, obviously, you don't get as invested in the world and characters as you would in a huge average game like Dragon Quest or Yakuza. It's a super low-stakes goof fest that doesn't talk your ear off. The most interesting stuff is centered around Square's characters and not Nintendo's because they probably wouldn't let them. Although this game did invent Bowser's personality. Not all the Super Nintendo jankiness has been ironed out of this remake, but I think they did a great job overall, so my wish is that this studio would do Earthbound next. Am I right or am I right? Earthbound that looks like this? Come on now. You got it. They won't. But if Square is remaking Live Alive, then Chrono Trigger is inevitable at this point. A gamer that has never played Pikmin 3 can never be considered a true gamer. This quote, this classic quote from Tom Clancy has been passed down for generations until now. Today I will amend this quote, because now you gotta play Pikmin 4 too, otherwise you dumb as hell. As great as this game is though, it makes a poor first impression. For the first hour of this game, the stupid Pikmin people will not stop talking to you. The greatest thing about Pikmin 4 is how frequently it interrupts you. Check out the tutorial of Pikmin 1. Bam, 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 done. Pikmin 4's pacing does stutter a bit with more load times and blabbing than the first 3 games combined. Once it lets you off the leash though, and you start getting back to the Pikmin engine, and stops If Pikmin 3 is the ultimate version of Pikmin 1, then Pikmin 4 is the ultimate version of Pikmin 2. The time limit doesn't matter. The segmented tunnel type levels out. Poison Pikmin is back. Purple Pikmin is back. Except this time.
Honey!
No. Ochi. What you need to know about me is that I love Ochi. I love seeing Ochi on the screen. I love to play as Ochi. Ochi in a game? Boom. Masterpiece. Simple as that. Ochi can carry all your Pikmin on his back. He can smash into giant pots with his head because he does not give a shit. He can fly through the air. He can eat a big pumpkin. He can do this. A lot of people who don't know what Pikmin is are going to buy this game because of Ochi and then are going to be horrified when he starts drowning and gets electrocuted and gets knocked off of a cliff and gets lit on fire. Pikmin is one of my favorite series, and a part of that is how it doesn't perform what the gaming audience wants. It's too cute to market to teenage boys, but it's also too fucked up and cool to be called a cozy game, leaving Pikmin with a target demographic of hardcore gamers who want to play creative and artistic games. So like 20 people. Pikmin may function like a swarm of ants, but they drop off like flies. They will get eaten and impaled. One time I threw all of my Pikmin on this pug monster, and after the Pikmin he just went Mumbo Glumbo, John Smith, Big so many creatures in the first games have been knocked out. They need to target something, and some of them, like the Mega Loaf, require new strategies to be bested. Well, now this is obviously a trap. But what if it is? Pikmin 4 is the only video game where you will battle a creature called the non-existence entity, and the way to beat him is to throw a purple Pikmin at his butt, which slams him through dimensions until he spits out a copy of Wave Race Blue Storm for the game. Ochi, slam! Get him! Yeah, boy. That is not a good hiding spot. A lot of Pikmin had to die for me to beat this game, especially when I got to this part. You fucking bastard. Pikmin is all about managing your army through the chaos, but it can also be very tranquil and serene.
Cinder Summit will serve our needs. Only I am strong.
It sounds stupid to say Pikmin is fun because you can look at the little Pikmin do stuff. But yeah, I mean, that is why. It's so satisfying to watch 100 colorful little guys swirling around the terrain and swarming massive creatures. You can hear the little Pikmin feet tapping along the different types of surfaces. Fly high. In a game like this, the tiny little details are huge, literally.
Stay true to your belief.
They'll sing music from the old games while they ride around on Ochi. They'll get trapped in bubbles and float into the air. If you throw a purple,
my time?
What the fuck? If you throw a purple Pikmin on a plant, the whole thing will sag down because they're so heavy. If you freeze a jellyfish guy in the air, he'll fall down and shatter on the floor. As a kid, I remember feeling so daunted by the time limit in Pikmin 1 that I didn't even try to beat the game. As an adult, I've learned to love that micromanagement aspect. Pikmin 4 has no overarching time limit, but instead drip feeds you little efficiency challenges. That is, until the post-game. Now the post-game for Pikmin 4? When I played this, I had to get up from my sofa, walk 10 paces backwards, take off my cowboy hat, and spin around 3 times before I said, "Oh shit, this is a good game." It's very hard for games to live up to our own lofty expectations, especially when it's one we've been waiting on for this long. Pikmin 4 was my most anticipated game this year, and somehow it completely delivers.
I will wait here.
So, I guess you better pick this one up. Reviewed Uncharted 4 back in 2016, I said, "Do you know that even I am wrong sometimes?" I then proceeded to be wrong about Uncharted 4, and what this proves is that I am actually never wrong. Uncharted 4 is one of the best games ever made. Don't even try to argue otherwise. Remember, I can never be wrong, but back then I was wrong, and I'm gonna prove it. In my old review, I said Uncharted 4 has the most boring climbing ever. This is more true for the first 3 Uncharted games. In those games, the climbing is very stiff and mostly there so that the player can spend time looking at the pretty graphics. Uncharted 4's climbing is faster and much more satisfying in its presentation. When you land on a wooden floor, there's nothing underneath it. Nathan Drake has unique animations depending on what he's actually climbing on. I mean, look at this. Boom, unique animation. Now watch some dudes. Oh, what he did? He said, "Womp womp womp." You can drop way down onto a dude's head and say, eventually you get this tool, which lets you hook into walls, you rappel down ropes. When you're in a precarious spot, the camera really emphasizes it. Makes you think, oh yeah, I'm gonna die. The huge leaps feel so weighty and satisfying. And then there's the incredible hot tower sequence where you're jumping across moving gears and sliding through them. Don't get me wrong, the climbing is the weakest aspect of this game, but it's impressive how much love they make the weakest part of it. What's cool about Uncharted 4 is that traversal is more than just climbing.
Bingo. Now we're in business.
In my old review, I said, put a goddamn grappling hook in every game from now on. Today, it is a legal requirement that every video game has to have a grappling hook. You're welcome. By combining this with the sliding mechanics, you get much more dynamic platforming than we've ever seen with this franchise. There's also scuba diving. You drive a boat and a Jeep, and what's really messed up is how good the handling on the Jeep is. Kojima Productions has some of the most talented game developers in the industry, and they were struggling with vehicle collision in Death Stranding. The terrain in Uncharted is similarly lopsided and hilly, and yet the Jeep can handle everything you throw at it. From bridges, sudden drop-offs, food stands, other Jeeps, roaring currents, large boulders. Somehow this rental Jeep can do it all. Death Stranding, the whole game is about using vehicles to deliver packages. Driving is fundamental to its gameplay. Uncharted is a shooter with 2 chapters where you drive a Jeep, and there are details Death Stranding can learn from this game, like how you gain more traction when driving on rocks instead of mud. As a shooter, Uncharted 4 is one of the most unconventionally paced. You don't actually do any shooting until Chapter 4 where Nathan starts blasting rockets and scanning for the nerve.
Bullseye.
Shootouts are sprinkled into this game more as a reward than a constant. It's a very gradual build-up that subliminally affects the player. Nathan Drake's thirst for adventure, and by the time that it finally gets to the action, oh. 7 years later, I am still waiting on AAA video games to look and play like this. However, what really sets Uncharted 4 apart is its strong storytelling, which is still today the rarest quality in video games. With most games, it seems the developers make the levels and assets first, then they write stories to try to string those things together in a coherent way. I don't know if that really is how games are written, but it would explain why most games have such stupid, nothing stories. Uncharted 4 feels uncompromised, like the writers came up with the craziest treasure hunt they could imagine, didn't even take into account how the studio would turn that into a video game, and then Naughty Dog actually did. For the first half of the game, every chapter takes place somewhere else. You start in a orphanage, then you're in a prison in Panama, now you're a scuba diver, now you gotta do a heist in Italy, now you gotta find the pirate's tomb in Scotland. Bad news, environment designers. The treasure is actually in Africa. Well, to be more specific, it's actually in a market town in Madagascar. Well, actually, seeing is believing. What I love about Naughty Dog is how they illustrate their stories instead of spoon-feeding them to you through lazy exposition dumps. You aren't reading text logs about Henry The ominous subtitle keeps This is a story about rummaging through the ruins of other people's stories. A letter from Chloe stowed away in the attic. Evelyn's letters priceless objects. Joseph Burns' abandoned cell. Henry Avery's elaborate triumphs in failed utopia. All of these stories contrast and overlap with his own story. Could still go there. Don't just spout off their deepest inner feelings. Instead, it's on the actors to communicate those emotions in a more subtle way through facial expressions, body language, and tone. What's magic about this style of storytelling is how it allows each player to come to their own conclusions. The lure of adventure, recklessness, out of his comfortable life. But just as he accomplishes his goal, the thrill vanishes, reappearing in the dark distance. When Sam unloads this insane story about breaking out of jail with Hector Alcazar, even on my first playthrough, I thought, yeah, this is total bullshit. Nathan knows his brother. He knows it's bullshit, but he wants to believe what he's hearing so much that he doesn't question it. Most people would be pretty envious of the life Nathan has set up. He's got a nice house, a job where he can still dig up treasure, a fridge full of beer, and a beautiful wife that loves Crash Bandicoot. Why? Why would you risk all of that? Of course, you push that question aside when Sully shows up and it starts feeling like a real deal Uncharted game. Just like Last of Us 2, the narrative tricks you into wanting to fulfill the selfish desires of its protagonist. In 99% of games, the player is meant to feel like a hero, like your actions are saving the world. In Uncharted 4, you are ruining this man's marriage so that he can pretend to be Indiana Jones.
How is Elena cool with all this? Jesus, killer.
Uncharted 4 is masterful in how it sets its character motivations in conflict with each other. In Sam's mind, it's always been him and Nate versus the world since they were kids. Then Sully and Elena took him away. Ironically, this is how we perceive Sam. To us, he's the outsider. He wasn't there for Uncharted 1 where you had to shoot 300 zombies. He wasn't there for Uncharted 2 where you had to fight a Yeti. He wasn't there for Uncharted 3 where you had to go to Subway. We trust Sam about as much as Sully does. That rift between his father figures goes both ways.
Why are you here, Victor?
Because somebody's got to keep an eye out for him.
When Nathan discovers his brother is still alive, he spends all night recapping the entire Uncharted trilogy before remembering that he has a wife.
I'm married. Can't believe Elena from the stories, that's my wife.
Sam Drake isn't a villain, but he brings out the worst part of his brother, and it's not until he finally teams up with Elena that Nathan starts stepping out of the shadow of Henry Avery. St. Dismas said, "We receive the due rewards of our deeds." But do we? Did the gullible optimist of Libertalia deserve such a harrowing fate? Does Sam deserve Nate? And does Nate deserve Sully and Elena? Uncharted blurs the past with present in many ways, challenging us to split the difference. One more time, the camera pans out from Crash Bandicoot, which does not have a scoring system, by the way, to reveal Cassandra Drake. This ending, man, dude, this is the most fulfilling, joyous ending I have ever experienced in a video game, and it's one that takes on a whole new context for me now that me and Leah are having our own daughter. Because this was actually a baby video the whole time. We having a baby, everybody. Street Fighter 6 is the sequel to Street Fighter 5, which was the prequel to the first of 3 versions of Street Fighter 3, which came out 19 years earlier. All of this makes more sense to me than doing combos in Street Fighter 4. Let's get straight to business. Street Fighter 6 has working online play. When 5 came out, it launched without an arcade mode, and the online played like this. With Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter is back to being a real video game. The matchmaking is fast, the load times are quick, and when you get into matches, you can actually play the game. Gotcha. You did, boy. And the game is a lot of fun. You can parry like Street Fighter 3, you can do a risky chungo slam like 4 and dash in with the green mode. You can spend some meter to do a counter blast, but if you run out of juice, you enter the danger mode, which is bad. You don't want to be in that mode. Nope. Capcom is trying to make players at every skill level feel more powerful. There's a funny announcer that does commentary over your matches that you're playing on Evo.
Heading into the end game now. It's getting tense. Player 1, they're going for the super RKO.
Beginners can destroy the AI in World Tour mode. Novice players can use the modern control scheme to spam specials with the press of a button. Intermediate players can outperform combos, and expert players can just clean house with all these new players coming to the game. I did not expect to get a good ranking in Street Fighter because Street Fighter is hard, but then I went on a 16-match win streak and got placed in Platinum. So since I get to win a lot, this is a good game. You gotta go for my funny. And he's out of there. Okay. The arcade mode is what you would expect from a modern fighting game. The higher level AIs can put up a nice challenge, but the character endings are pretty abysmal. Remember in Street Fighter 2 when you're at the award ceremony and Ryu doesn't even show up? He's like, I don't give a shit about the money. I'm already walking to the next challenge. That was a badass ending. In Street Fighter 6, Ryu's ending is that a dude looks at that ending on his phone. Like, come on, man.
You know what? Maybe this ain't so bad.
Yes, it is. Shut up. I miss the days when fighting games had to tell their story through the arcade mode instead of some gimmicky single-player mode like World Tour mode. The best thing about World Tour mode is the character creator.
Yeah, gotta say, you're photogenic.
Basically, you run around a 3D city punching people on the sidewalk because the game is called Street Fighter. Hold right trigger and press an attack button to perform the master action. Now hold this and I uppercut the grandma. It's surprising how much effort went into this, but like most gimmick modes, it mostly squanders what's great about the game. The computer players are set to a very low difficulty where they barely even fight back. They just kind of stand there and die. It's not a good mode, but it is a very funny mode.
You're strong.
There's a lot of new faces on this roster. I fought a Roomba, I fought Refrigerator, I fought Truck, I fought Basketball. When I entered the online lobby, I noticed that my monstrosity of a character actually fit in very well with this community. Over here at this desk, you can enter tournaments which do not actually work, and then the guy behind the desk dances while you yell at him. There is also a rotating selection of arcade cabinets where you can compete each day for high scores. This is a really cool feature. You can play Mega Man to Power Battle. People who don't know any better can play Street Fighter 1. In Final Fight, you slam through the same city from World Tour mode, except instead of winning indefinitely, you die immediately. Now when people go, oh Donkey, you suck at Street Fighter, I can be like, oh yeah? Then explain how I'm ranked 62 on Vulgus. Even though my character looks like he belongs in the Smeagol game, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Street Fighter 6 is more fun than Smeagol game. Anybody who knows about fighting games knows about the 3 a.m. test, okay? Street Fighter 6 has passed that test multiple times where you look at the clock and go, oh, okay, we gotta get off of this now. I feel like every year I say next year. That's the year when video games come back to life, and then this comes out. But this year, 2023, this is the one, everybody. Tekken 8! As long as Kuma is a playable character, then I like Tekken 8. What I really want to see from this and Street Fighter 6 and every other fighting game is a satisfying single-player mode. Fighting games today are extremely disposable. Once the online community is gone, these games cease to exist. Soul Calibur, Guilty Gear, Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat. The single player for these games is people talking.
How do you know about that?
Like, what the fuck are we doing out here? Most fighting games already have the components needed for a great single-player game. They just need to structure them in a more exciting way. Hollow Knight, Silk Song, and Hades 2 are coming up. Both great action games that I want to see get the Doom Eternal treatment. From the makers of Celeste, we got Earthblade and Nina the Howler from the makers of Shovel Knight. I played the demo for this. It's like a Game Boy Zelda meets Castlevania. Pepper Grinder's finally coming out. I remember talking about this one years ago. It's looking a lot fancier now than when I first played it. Animal World. Oh, hey, I know this one. I'm really excited for Animal World. The whole reason we wanted to publish it is because it's such a left field game. It's the only game in this video without combat, and I think people are really gonna like it. 2 weeks ago, Nintendo sneaked out Metroid Prime Remastered. Really knocked it out of the park with the visuals, and it's running at 60 FPS on the Nintendo Switch. If you're looking for intense boss fights and great combat, play Metroid Dread. Metroid Prime is more about mood and atmosphere and backtracking. Lots of backtracking. Those opening moments when you step onto Talon 4, the waterfalls and fauna, the alien creatures, the rain splashing onto your cannon and dripping off your visor.
And the graphics. That's really what this is all about.
And underlining all of it is that haunting, beautiful soundtrack. If Prime 4
Don't
looks and
anything
sounds
I
like this,
wouldn't do.
Metroid fans are going to be living very large. Final Fantasy 16 is coming out this summer. This will be the first Final Fantasy where you can actually marry a chocobo. Spider-Man 2 is Sony's big game this year. Hopefully they'll be able to bring back the pizza minigame with this one. We could also potentially see Big Wheel as one of the main villains. Big name horror remakes come out. Resident Evil 4 and Silent Hill 2. There is nobody in life more evil than the guy who says Resident Evil 4. I always laugh when he says that. I think it's when he goes 4. It's like, damn, we're really on number 4 already?
Resident Evil, The Mercenaries, 3D.
Resident Evil 4 is the most famous of all Resident Evils, okay? It was the first game to reinvent the series, and it's still a really solid shooter. If I was betting money, I'd say Resident Evil 4 will be the better game, but I'm more excited for the Silent Hill 2 because I have no idea what a modernized version of that will play like. Most of that game is walking around, looking at your map, and picking stuff off the field. How do you hook it? Will they turn it into another zombie shooting game? What about the funny people? And most importantly, will there still be the dog? Death Stranding 2 was officially announced at Jeff Keighley's house, but unofficially it was announced like 3 times by Norman Reedus because he kept leaking it. When I first reviewed Death Stranding, I hoped it would be the last Strand type game. But looking back, really I hope it'll be the worst Strand type game. Stealth, combat, boss fights, huge cutscenes. I say leave all that behind with Metal Gear Solid and
Looks
make
like you
Death
could all
Stranding
use
2
some
the
resources.
ultimate package delivering game. That's what
There's
makes
a
Death Stranding
saying
new.
for
That's
this.
the part of the game I enjoy the most.
Survival of the
They won't
fittest.
do that, but that's what I would like. Pikmin 4, now we're talking. With every game, Pikmin grows stronger, okay? I love Pikmin 3. It has such a unique, fluctuating tempo, hectic micromanagement, and downbeat exploration. I love the sound effects, the music, the creatures, the fruits, and the treasures. There is no other game like it, and I will never get tired of parading an army of 100 Pikmin around on the screen. And now they got this guy, Ochi, who is a funny doggy. This game will be a masterpiece. Tears of the Kingdom is coming out in 2 months, and I feel like Nintendo hasn't even started marketing it yet. You can rewind time, maybe you build vehicles with banjo nuts and bolts. I remember trying to make a boat in this game, and it didn't pan out.
Approach.
Maybe it's still... Expectations for this game are stratospheric, but time does not stand still for open world games. Red Dead 2 is still the most detailed open world with an incredible storyline and cast of characters. Death Stranding has that super molded geometry. Cyberpunk has cutting-edge bugs and glitches. Elden Ring was like an all-you-can-eat buffet of amazing enemies and boss fights. Zelda has been surpassed in many ways, but is still more open-ended and malleable than any of the games I've listed, and I hope those are the elements they expand on. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming out this year, but wait, there's one more, Armored Core 6. From Software is already hitting us with a whole new robot game. Do you guys remember this video? Funny birds have a sword fight with their beaks raffle. Most of the video was footage of trains, and people were like, Donkey, what the fuck is this? This is the kind of reaction I think people will have to Armored Core 6. People will be furious, but the true fans know that Armored Core is just a practice run for the game that From Software actually wants to make. Metal Wolf Chaos 2. I cannot believe this. Just when I'm really starting to get into these Yakuza games, what do? They turn it into a turn-based JRPG, and for that reason, 0 out of 10. I don't think I hate RPGs as much as people think. It's just that a lot of the ones I play are for your entertainment and not my enjoyment. Kingdom Hearts 4.7 Birth by Death will not be a good game, but me playing that game, I already know that's a good video. With Yakuza Like a Dragon Quest, I like this game because it's kind of like Dragon Quest. Now I'm gonna be real with you guys. This game does not have the best combat. Dragon Quest is faster, Shin Megami is more strategic, Into the Breach is faster and more strategic. Yakuza's turn-based combat is like its usual combat in that it's carried by the crazy animations. Now go ahead and kill that man with a flock of pigeons. Nah, but go ahead and use your power nap ability. You see what I'm saying, how this is a good game? Where they did step it up though is the enemies. In this game, the bad guys are called Sujimon, which is Pokemon, but people. Not only does this game have Shrugler, but it also has Druggler, Thugler, and Juggalo. It's kind of like Rugrats, where the baby's imaginations turn mundane things into something incredible, except as a 42-year-old man-child. One of the most villainous groups in the game are a gang of Twitter users, but since they're outside, you know that it's all just happening in his head. You also get good allies like Jackie Chan's daughter Nancy Chan and this guy. What you need to know about this game is that this game is like 2 Yakuzas long, okay? This is a blessing and a curse. There were parts of the main story where I was completely sucked in, and some parts where I was starting to fall asleep. These games are usually pretty talky, but man, the expository dialogue in this one really gets out of hand. There are so many characters in this game that will just slam dunk you with your entire life story.
I used to be a bit of a punk. Well, I definitely know how to fix things. And as much as my dad tried to keep this place going, he wasn't very good at it. He wasn't good with money and got in a lot of debt, but I really loved this job. My granddad, who opened this place, was a really skilled technician. He's been a constant inspiration to me.
I just wanted to upgrade my weapon. Out of the ones I've played, this one has the least focused storyline, but because it's so big, it also has the most side quests. And if you know anything about Yakuza, then you know that these games have the best side quests in video games.
Healthy! Someone! I am Onomichio!
In this side quest, you have to figure out which guy is peeing in the river. Naturally, I thought it was this guy, but he was just watering a plant. So then I thought, this guy, this is the guy, but he was just playing a flute. This is the genius of Yakuza.
I am out of range. Show me your worth.
Power is no substitute for ideals.
Begone then.
My children cry for vengeance.
Stay true to your beliefs. On your way. We are done speaking. For all dragon.
The Halls of Valor host some of Odin's most trusted allies.
Allies? Enforcers and slaves, more likely. Come, whelps. We shall confront this guardian Himdall.
I expect this will be interesting.
Child of storms, you need not be slave to your rider. Rise and be free.
Very well. I will test your
Thorinir, you need not heed this construct's call. Odin believed dragons unworthy protectors unless they were bound by his command. You are worthy in your own right. Dragon, prepare to face my wrath. Stay your hand, Valkyrie. This is a matter between mankind and your beast. Honor compels me to stop you, Dragon. Then you have more honor than Odin. The same that the Thorin hold. They remain where they are called to a greater cause. Protecting Azeroth. Stand aside, Odin. This matter does not involve you. Shield maidens, stand down. May your battle prove worthy, Dragon. And yours as well, should you ever choose that path. Your arrogant keeper has not treated his servants with respect.
When I told you of Odin, I didn't expect such an explosive response.
A likely story, well. You knew I would not abide such hypocrisy.
Well,
Own it, and just be glad I have not eaten everyone here. I am being diplomatic. Do not be afraid. Power is no substitute.
Ah, Odin! We'd like to have a word with you. Several, actually.
Most impressive. I never thought I would meet anyone who could match the Valajar strength.
Save your words, Keeper. Are you really too cowardly to face us yourself?
Impudent whelp! You dare insult the ruler of the Valajar? Face me, then!
Coward! Hypocrite! Liar! You come to this world and demand its children bow to you. You dare? You claimed dragons were not fit to protect Azeroth. Yet you bound them as your servants. You killed them, born of gods, and claimed ownership of their greatness. The stories here were and are great without you. Their honor keeps them safe, but you have never earned it.
Enough of this foolishness!
I agree. Dragons of the Storm, you are true dragons, not constructs beholden to an unworthy keeper. You are free to choose your own path. If you wish it, there is a home for you on the Dragon Isles. Join your kin and claim your birthright. Approach. That is your choice. State your business.
So nice to see you. Always a pleasure.
We are united in purpose. May we all find what we seek.
What do you seek? Stay vigilant.
What brings you here? Fair skies and strong.
Flourishing life in the dream has made some small, odd dream fruit grow. Gather whatever powers these fruit bear, so our enemies may not. What you do with those powers is up to you.
Hey, Security here. Before we get started, everybody, if you is
Come on. Fique should be closer.
talk, play a movie. Okay. We're gonna talk, play a movie.
Be closer to the wellspring.
All right. So let's go.